He tossed it into the trash without even unwrapping it. A handmade wooden frame, polished and carved with our initials R and L. He didn't even glance at it. "It's our anniversary," I said softly. He smirked. "I wanted something real this year." Our daughter laughed from across the table, her fork tapping the champagne glass. "You can't beat Dad's new wife, Mom." I didn't argue. I just stared at the gift, half buried under a paper napkin and a wine cork. And then, quietly, I picked it out of the trash. Once upon a time, I would have cried. But that version of me died the day he replaced me. Ryan and I built everything together: our home, our business, our reputation. When he said "we," I thought he meant it. Turns out, he meant until someone younger, shinier, and more flattering came along. I spent 20 years creating beauty with my hands. Custom art pieces, sculptures, restorations. He used to say I brought life to wood and meaning to marble. Then one day, he said my work was a hobby for the sentimental. He said real artists got featured in galleries. I remember that line vividly because I smiled when he said it. That was the night I decided he'd never see the difference between handmade and priceless. It started small. He sold the studio we built together without asking, moved me out of the house temporarily, said he'd help me get settled somewhere cozy. I didn't protest. I signed everything he asked for, slowly, carefully. I made copies of each page. Then I started building, quietly. The plan began the day I met Evelyn, his new wife. She was radiant, in the way expensive things often are. She came to one of my open workshops, pretending not to know who I was. She asked about commissions. I smiled. I told her I'd just finished a rare set. The frame from the trash, restored, repolished, reimagined. But this time, I added something else. Embedded between the wood grains, beneath the sealant, I placed a fragment of the legal deed from the business Ryan sold behind my back. The original document, proof of my ownership. It was art, yes, but it was also evidence. She called it stunning. She said she knew the perfect gallery to showcase it, and I let her. 3 weeks later, I received the invitation. Contemporary Truths, Art from the Shadows, featuring work by L. Monroe. My work. Displayed in his new wife's curated exhibition. I stood there in the crowd, champagne glass in hand, as Ryan walked in wearing his smug confidence. He stopped in front of my frame, his frame, the one he'd thrown away. Only now it was under bright light, polished, signed, mounted. A small tag below it read, Artist L. Monroe. Price $170,000. I watched the muscles in his jaw tighten. Evelyn turned to him, radiant with pride. "Isn't it breathtaking? The artist's ex-husband inspired this piece." He blinked. Twice. She didn't know. Not yet. The gallery owner approached, smiling. "Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, what a coincidence! This piece has been attracting collectors all night. There's even interest from the museum board." Ryan froze. He turned to me then, recognition flickering in his eyes like a dying bulb. "Lydia?" he whispered. I took a sip of champagne. "You said you wanted something real," I said. The fallout was quieted first, then seismic. When the legal team reached out for authentication, they found my signature, my paperwork, my ownership of the business deed sealed inside the art. The document he thought he'd buried with fraudulent signatures was suddenly on display, publicly, legally, permanently. His reputation didn't survive the headlines. Neither did his marriage. Evelyn's gallery lost its funding after the scandal broke. Art theft, and financial deceit. They say she left him soon after. He tried calling me once. I didn't answer. Now the frame hangs in my studio. Not for sale, not for display. Just mine. The same piece he tossed away like nothing. Sometimes my daughter visits. She doesn't laugh anymore. She runs her fingers across the polished wood and says softly, "You made this?" I nod. "With my own hands." She looks at me differently now, like she's seeing me for the first time. I've learned that revenge doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to scream or destroy. Sometimes it's as simple as taking back what was yours and letting the world see its true worth. Ryan once said my art wasn't real. Now, every time someone walks into that gallery, they pay to see the truth he tried to throw away. And me? I don't celebrate anniversaries anymore. But every year, on that same date, I polish the frame once more. Not to remember him, but to remind myself. Some things, once broken, shouldn't be mended. They should be displayed for everyone to see exactly what they lost.